Okay, so a lot of people say to us, what's the difference between capacity management and capacity planning? And so I just thought I'd say a few words on how Metron sees the difference between the two. I very much see capacity planning as being a strategic element, a subset of capacity management. Capacity management being all about providing the right quality of service to your users for a controlled cost, both now and in the future. And capacity planning is the element of that that's concerned with the future, making sure that not today, but next week, next month, next year, the users get the quality of service that they're looking for from the systems that you're providing them with. And typically capacity planning takes its measurements from the present, from existing systems, and uses those as a basis for predicting forward, for forecasting how things will perform as your environment changes. And the IT systems we support are always changing day in, day out. And those changes present a threat. They can potentially disrupt the quality of service that you provide. So we need to make sure that as those changes happen, everything will perform okay. And that's what capacity planning is about. Why is it so important? Well, its importance is all around the fact that prevention is cheaper than cure. If we can identify any potential problems in the future due to these changes with capacity planning techniques and avoid having those problems ever occur, then that's much more cost effective than actually going forward and hitting one of those problems, having a performance crisis, and then having to actually fix it once it's taken effect. So I guess the question relating to capacity planning then becomes, well, how is it cheaper? In what way does it save money compared to what I was saying about, dealing with each performance crisis as it arises? Well, if you can have fewer outages by predicting ahead and saying where they'll happen, where they might happen, that means you avoid the cost of that downtime, of those outages. And that can save money for the business in terms of not losing processing time, not losing transactions, not losing customers because they have a service that's unavailable. It means you have less personnel time invested in firefighting those crises, so your support staff can spend their time doing much more proactive work that adds much greater value to the business. From a user perspective, if we can identify problems in advance and avoid them, it means there's less service variability. And it's very important to users that every time they do a certain process, carry out a certain transaction, they have a reliable, acceptable response time and not something that varies greatly, 1 second one day, 1 minute, 5 minutes the next day. Typically, if we can remove any variations in quality of service, over time it means we get more transactions processed, more work done. So capacity planning, all about ensuring smooth implementation and management of your systems over time, and in particular over time as things change. And those changes can be, for example, rolling out new services to more users, new applications being implemented. At a business level, it can be merger and acquisition, putting together two organisations, major change happening then, consolidation of systems. How do we make sure that we implement the right kit, the right resources, the right infrastructure at the right time to make sure the business still processes the work it needs to successfully and in the right way? But also not doing that by over-purchasing resources. And a major saving with capacity planning is all about making sure we maximise the return on investment we have in our infrastructure, that we don't buy too much and waste money by buying resources we don't need, but also that we don't buy too little and then hit that performance crisis to performance crisis topic that I was talking of earlier. So good capacity planning enables you to sweat the assets that you've invested in as well as possibly can be done without ever impacting on the quality of service that the user sees, making sure that that stays consistent and acceptable for them.